Pam Bondi is exactly what I was saying in the last segment that we should all fear, because she's competent. We may not agree with her ideologically, but she actually knows how to do this job. So if anyone on the Democratic side or anyone who cared about liberty or justice was thinking, well, maybe Matt Gaetz will screw this up and that'll give us some time. No, Pam Bondi knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing about immigration. Remember, Florida is one of those states that's been very aggressive about migrants and deportation and moving people to different states and everything else like that. Florida has enacted all sorts of rules and laws to curtail students and what they can do on campuses and finding legal justifications for manipulating education money. She is a dangerous and effective pick, and that's frankly worse than what we would have got with Matt Gaetz, even with the deplorable moral background that he has.
Yeah, and I want to discuss that with a little more depth with both of you, including her record on civil rights, LGBTQ rights, and other issues that are front and center at the DOJ, and which we know were also big campaign issues this cycle.
Oh, no. MSNBC is big mad. What's new, right? The ultra woke leftists are freaking out over Trump's new attorney general pick. But the irony is that all of their weeping and gnashing of teeth is happening as Trump is completely shattering the Democrat Party, including that very network, MSNBC. We're going to look at why the left is absolutely collapsing in front of the world's eyes and why the Democrats are already losing the elections of tomorrow today. You are not going to want to miss this.
Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
Well, Mr. President-elect and former President, thank you. Donald, congratulations. Thank you. And looking forward to having like we said, smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So good. Welcome back.
Gang, what you just saw there was both the president and the vice president eerily congratulating Trump and promising a peaceful transition of power. Well, that's something I'd like to believe, but it's hard to believe those words when they're coming from the mouths of pure serial liars. I mean, career liars. So what does that mean for the next few months? The opposite of what they're promising. So absolute chaos. Economically, culturally, politically. We might be in for war for all we know. So what should you do? You should at least own some gold. The markets might be up right now, but who knows what's going to happen between now and January. You need to protect yourself against the last hurrah of the worst administration America has ever had. We know it's coming. I don't know what, but something is between now and January 20th. You might think they're just going to hand over a pristine, happy, functioning country to the man they tried to assassinate and put in jail, entirely ruin. No, something's coming, and you need to be financially prepared for it. You need to talk to Goldco and protect yourself against this last battle. Get some gold in your portfolio. In the coming months, you'll be glad that you did. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code and just chat with them. You'll be glad that you did. So, as I'm sure you all know by now, Donald Trump has nominated his new pick for Attorney General, the Florida Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Now, Bondi, like Matt Gaetz, is not just a Floridian. She's also a major MAGA figure, a Trump loyalist, and a staunch advocate for Agenda 47. And no one appears to be making a better case for her nomination than the ultra-left activists over at MSNBC. Check it out.
Reality TV star, you probably remember Pam Bondi best from her many, many, many appearances on television, and specifically Fox News television. Miss Bondi even filled in as a guest host on Fox 3 times while she was still the sitting Attorney General of Florida. And she spent plenty of time on the network since she left office.
Murderers, rapists from Venezuelan prisoners coming straight into our country. They are coming to a town near you. It should scare and terrify everyone in this country. This is just one big press conference trying to smear Donald Trump, trying to hurt Donald Trump.
We do have evidence of cheating, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but we are still on the ground in Pennsylvania. I'm here right now, and we are not going anywhere until they declare that we won Pennsylvania.
That last clip you saw there was from just after the 2020 election, when Pam Bondi was promoting the big lie that Trump had won the election. Bondi was, again, part of Trump's legal team that tried and failed to prove Trump's election conspiracies in court, filing multiple lawsuits on Trump's behalf in battleground states. And she has been one of his most loyal foot soldiers ever since then. She even stood by Trump's side during his Manhattan criminal trials and defended him outside the courthouse.
Listen, all the rights here, I'm a prosecutor, former prosecutor. Yeah, all the rights here go to the defendant because it's his liberty at stake, and that has not been happening in this courtroom. This case should have never, ever been brought.
All of that is why Donald Trump chose Pam Bondi to be his pick for Attorney General. She will be every bit the loyalist that Matt Gaetz would have been, just with a little more legal experience and a little less baggage.
Ooh, so as you can see, the ultra woke warriors over at MSNBC, who are looks like they're about to all get fired, but we'll talk about that in a mere moment, are big mad at this. They do not like Ms. Bondi. Now, as we talked about extensively in our live stream last night, we are going to have to see as this plays out if this was indeed some 4D chess, not just on Trump's part, but on Matt Gaetz's part as well, especially if Matt ends up being either a key point man in the Justice Department or Florida's newest senator. The fact that Trump picked Bondi so quickly after Gaetz's withdrawal and the fact that she's such a loyalist to Trump suggests to me that we're looking at 4D chess. I think everything on the surface suggests that this was all planned. I'm sure you guys will have questions for that as we go along in our live stream. We can get into that in more detail. I could flesh out to you precisely why I do think this is 4D chess. I want everyone to keep in mind here that this is not 2016 anymore. This is 2024. This is a new era. Trump knows what he's doing. Trump knows what he's doing. And just as importantly, his people know what they're doing. Don Trump Jr. knows what he's doing. Laura Trump obviously knows what she's doing. Mike Whatley at the RNC knows what he's doing. Elon Musk knows what he's doing. RFK Jr. knows what he's doing. Tulsi Gabbard knows what she's doing. And the very fact that the radical left is freaking out over this latest appointment or, this nomination suggests to me that Trump most certainly knows what he is doing here. And I think it's very important that we see the big picture of what's happening, of how Trump is indeed right now, as we speak, effectively breaking apart the Democrat Party. Because if he is effectively shattering the Democrat Party as well as the legacy media, then that is all precursor to his shattering the deep state as well. I want to say that again, because again, I think it's all interconnected. If he is effectively shattering the Democrat Party, as I'm going to show he is, as well as the legacy media, as I'm going to show you he is, then that is all precursor to shattering the deep state and draining the swamp as well. So it's all interconnected. Now, if you've been with this channel for some time, and if not, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. But if you've been with us for some time now, then you'll know that our analysis of the absolute Trumpian brilliance of 2024 and the ascendancy of MAGA 2.0 centers around a twofold dynamic that Donald J. Trump and only Donald J. Trump brought to the Republican Party. On the one hand, Trump pivoted to the left on economics, while at the same time, on the other hand, he pivoted right on culture. And the combination of these two pivots realigned politics all across the nation, giving Trump the biggest Republican win since 1984. right? I talked about this with Rich Barris yesterday. This is a much bigger win than 88 when George Herbert Walker Bush won 40 states and 400 electoral votes. That was not his coalition. That was a borrowed coalition. That was the Reagan coalition, right? George Herbert Walker Bush was just a custodian of it, and a very bad one at that. He thwarted it. Within 4 years, that coalition split, with the populist wing going with Ross Perot, and then, of course, Pat Buchanan prior to that. What we just saw in November, on November 5th, was a true, bona fide Trumpian realignment. That was a true, bona fide Trumpian coalition that was in the making of 2016. It grew in 2020. Remember, Trump is the first president, the first incumbent to actually win more votes in his second go-around in his re-election bid, but was the first one to win more votes but lose the election. Kind of strange, huh? But nevertheless, this is a coalition that began in 2016, grew in 2020, but then hit its promise, its fulfillment now in 2024 with the biggest landslide win for any Republican president in 40 years. So what has that pivoting left on economics amassed, right? This is what we have to ask. As part of this massive coalition, what did pivoting left do to assemble a coalition like that? We've talked about this constantly over the last several months. By embracing more pro-union, pro-tariff, pro-New Deal FDR economic policies, Trump effectively realigned both the white, and here's the key, non-white working class around him. That's what accounts for Trump's inordinate strength in 2024. Again, we've talked about this a lot. By realigning the rural white working class around himself back in 2016, 2020, he maximized his own base in 2024. It just grew on that rural white working class vote. But at the exact same time, in attracting more non-white working class voters than any Republican in half a century, Trump was able to minimize the margins that the Democrats got from their urban base. And we saw that most especially in, like, for example, Miami-Dade, where he actually won Miami. He actually won. Or in parts of Queens and the Bronx, where he won districts. Solid blue districts turned red for Trump. So Trump solidified, and we saw it as well in the Rio Grande counties in Texas that were always solid blue, that suddenly then turned around and voted for Trump by double-digit margins. So Trump solidified and maximized his rural base from 2016 to 2020, but now in 2024, he siphoned off a record number of non-white working class urban voters so as to minimize the Democrat base. So he maximized his own base, all the while minimizing the Democrat base. That's the secret sauce to his win. Pivoting left on economics gave Trump a working class realignment, particularly in the key blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, that effectively boxed out the Democrats from any chance of winning the Electoral College. But ironically, that's just half of it. That's just that there's another key ingredient to the secret sauce of MAGA dominance in 2024, and that's the pivoting right on cultural issues. And the brilliance here is that if pivoting left on economic issues realigned the working class around the new Trumpian Republican Party, in effect stealing away the Democrats' base, pivoting right on culture issues split apart whatever remained of the Democrats' base. Again, this is what made 2024 so spectacularly brilliant, politically speaking. Pivoting left on economic issues stole away the historic foundation of the Democratic base, the working class, while pivoting right on culture split apart whatever remained of that Democrat base. So what do I mean by pivoting right on culture? Well, again, we've talked about this a lot on a number of videos. Take any woke issue you want out there. I don't care. Pick any one. Pick any one. We could do a blind test. I could put my hand in a jar and pick out any woke issue. Biological men using women's rooms, biological men competing in female sports, CRT in the classroom, doesn't matter. Take any woke issue out there. You poll that issue, and you'll find that 50% of the left supports that, but 50% of the political left opposes it. 50% of the left will support it, but 50% of the left will oppose it. The Bill Maher left, right? The Piers Morgan left. They will oppose it. However, you poll the right on that same issue, and how many would support it? 0. How many would oppose it? Yeah, 100%. In other words, more people are likely to vote against a woke issue than are to vote for it. This is the brilliance of the new Trump, MAGA, populist Republican Party. As long as it pivots left on working class economic issues and pivots right on cultural issues, it promises to be the single most dominant political realignment our nation has seen since FDR's New Deal. So if this is the heart of what happened in November, it should be no surprise that the Democrats are shattering precisely around these very lines. What we are seeing are Democrats pointing the proverbial finger at their own party leadership that lost the white and non-white working class vote. All the while, at the very same time, the Democrats are being forced to double down on woke issues that only further alienates more voters from them.